Thanks, Sue. And thank you, Minister, as well, for launching the toolkit today. So here I am. Hello. I will now share my screen and just show you and go through the presentation I've got. So hopefully this all works. Oh, here we go. There we are. Lovely. All right then. Well, thank you everyone as well for coming along today, particularly given how busy everyone is. I'm going to briefly go over the toolkit and what it includes and what livable communities are and some of COTA's ideas around this space. I'm an active ageing project officer and feel free to contact me at all if you do want more information about livable communities. So the toolkit is mainly to provide some information, ideas and resources to councils and communities to continue to build on the fantastic work that we know is already happening around Tasmania. So we're not trying to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. You guys are on the ground, you know what's happening in your area, but we're hoping that particularly as we come out of COVID-19, we continue to build all the lovely work that's been done in creating community connections that's occurred through COVID-19. And there are 8 documents in the toolkit, and I'll go through very briefly what these are, and you can access the toolkit via our website. And this presentation will be available to everyone as well, so if you need these links, then you can find them when we send them out. So as the Minister has already talked a little bit about, a livable community is also known as an age-friendly community. So it's a place where people of all ages, backgrounds and circumstances can live safely, respectfully and healthily in their own communities. And we do focus on older Tasmanians when we talk about livable communities. We know that as we age, our cognitive and physical abilities will change, and as will our social networks. And unfortunately, we do tend to live in a slightly ageist society. We all have unconscious biases towards age, myself included, and we don't have to look very far to see that becoming older isn't always shown in a particularly positive light. So it is important that we do look after our older Tasmanians and make sure that they're supported to age well. But of course, what benefits older Tasmanians will benefit the whole community. So anyone of any age can experience changes in physical and cognitive abilities, life transitions. Instead of maybe manoeuvring a walker, they're manoeuvring a pram. So it really does benefit everyone adopting livable community practices or principles. And when we talk about livable communities, we're really talking about choice and opportunity. And this relates back to the active ageing concepts that COTA holds. We see active ageing, a lot of people talk about active ageing as though it's physical activity, but really it's much wider than that. And we have the view that active ageing is actually more about being an active participant in how you live your life. So having the choice, being able to make choices, being respected for those choices, but also having the opportunities to act out those choices. And this is where councils and communities can really come together to make sure that activities and services are actually available within communities, but that they're also accessible, not just, so in the way that people can access them. So transport from their home to the service and business, that they can physically access that premises, and that they're also feeling included when they enter that activity or service. So they feel that they are respected for being there as well. So there are 8 domains in livability, and I'm just going to briefly go through these. These were developed by AARP, if you'd like a little bit more information about them, but there is some info in the toolkit as well. I won't go into these in detail, but I guess some things that I would like to just point out is the importance of intergenerational connection. So making sure that we're bringing younger and older and everyone in between together so that we can actually challenge ageism and make sure that there is a respect being built up in the community. I guess through COVID-19, there has been some pretty negative attitudes towards older people, and it's important that we do make sure that our communities are connected, that they are respectful of everyone, and that they are able to learn skills and ideas from people of all different ages, and it goes both ways. Older people can learn from younger people just as much as younger people can learn from older people. But it also extends into services and businesses as well, and making sure that every aspect of our community is challenging ageism. Now, it is particularly important in Tasmania that we are planning for an ageing population. As the Minister said, we do have the oldest population in Tasmania, and it is ageing the fastest of any state and territory. So from 2006 to 2016, the proportion of Tasmanians aged over 65 increased by 4.5%. And this is expected to increase to about 25% by 2030, so 1 in 4 Tasmanians, and up to 30% by 2060. And when we talk about an ageing population, it can also often be quite negative, but the problem isn't so much with the ageing population as it is with lack of planning. So if we are planning for an ageing population, we're making sure that people can remain connected as they get older, that they can remain independent, they can remain physically and mentally healthy, then it's going to make things much easier, and we can actually begin to use the opportunities that an ageing population provides us and actually begin to see those opportunities and take advantage of them. And the populations are ageing across Tasmania in every LGA. We've got this data, as mentioned before, in our Embracing the Future report. There are 2 parts to this report. The first one is this broad demographic data, but our second report includes information about the health, relationships, cultural diversity, income, employment, and housing of older Tasmanians. And this can help, where we have been able to, we've gone down to LGA level in that report. So if you do want a little bit more of an idea generally about the characteristics of older people within your council area, it might be worth going along and having a bit of a look at those reports. They're on our website as well. And that data can be really handy when you do start developing a livable community. In the toolkit, we do have these 5 steps that you can go through just when planning a strategy around this area. The key point though is to engage community right from the start, right through the process, and continuing on afterwards. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of great ideas and projects that have fallen down because community hasn't been engaged, and there's been pushback from the community because of that lack of engagement, no matter how great the idea is and how many people it can benefit. So it is important that we make sure we are connecting with the community right from the start, not only to make sure that you've got that support on board, but also to make sure that you are actually addressing the issues that are in the community and the needs and wants of people. So again, it's right from the planning, keeping consulting as you're planning that strategy, and then afterwards as well. And there are a couple of documents in the toolkit to provide a few ideas about how to do this, particularly with older Tasmanians. And again, it's just one thing that's quite important is making sure we're not making assumptions about older Tasmanians. As I mentioned before, we do tend to have some biases towards older Tasmanians, and we may assume that certain things may be important to them. But we do need to make sure that we're open to new ideas, and that extends to any group within our community as well. There are a couple of documents as well that help provide a few ideas about the ways to implement livability. The key one I'd just really like to raise is about language. And again, it comes back to the ageism issue. Just being really careful about how we talk about older Tasmanians. And, you know, this challenging ageism really does start at the top. It starts with leadership and with governments and councils. So making sure that the language used that we use is really inclusive in our policies, our strategies, in how we talk, making sure that every step along the way doesn't make assumptions about different groups of people or is negative about older Tasmanians. So, and finally, there are also some resources in the toolkit. So there are some other livable community guides and examples, and also some great work happening all across Australia that are really good examples of livable communities. And a checklist. So the checklist allows you to identify not only where improvements are needed in this space, but also where your strengths are, because we know that there are heaps of things being done really well across Tasmania, and it is important that you acknowledge those strengths and celebrate them. But if you do find that there are improvements that could probably be made in some domains that we talked about before, those 8 livability domains, there's also some resources under each of those domains for you to find a little bit more information and give some ideas about ways that you can address those. So just briefly, I also want to talk about some walkability work that COTA's been doing that links quite well with livability. So we've developed quite a comprehensive walkability audit, which is about connected communities. So making sure that people can walk around their community, but also between communities, and not just within a business area or a village, but being able to actually walk from your house to where you want to go. So really good connections. And this is mainly for community members to fill in and to send to council, so that the council gets ideas about what people are wanting and what people need in their community where they're seeing challenges. And we've also got a shorter version. So there's a little postcard like this. This can be sent back to council. It's got some questions on the back, but it can be sent back just with a standard stamp, even though it looks a little bit bigger than a standard postcard. And again, that's just a really good way to engage your community, make sure that you're hearing their voices and make them feel heard. And if you do want more information about livable communities, please don't hesitate to contact COTA. We really would like to engage councils and communities in this space. So if you do want us to talk to councillors or aldermen, please feel free to contact us. We can also pull out some of that data we have from Embracing the Future that is more applicable to your LGA area. And yeah, really happy to do that as well and provide more information. But also, if you are looking to connect with older Tasmanians in your community and you might need a few ideas about how to do that, we can always try to help you out there. Providing feedback on grant applications or support letters, projects, anything like that is, please feel free to send that through. And we are always really interested to hear what is happening in this space across Tasmania, and happy to promote that as well. And we have a community activities and events page on our website. This is a space where community groups and councils and anyone who holds activities or events for the community can go up. It's free promotion. They're listed by region as well and activity type. So it's quite accessible. There are over 900 activities now on the community activities page. And people can also call us up if they don't have the internet, and we can print out pages and information and send that to people. So if you'd like to check that out, that again is on our website. And yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone. That was a bit of a crash course through everything, but please feel free to contact us, contact me if you'd like more information about anything. And if you have any feedback about the toolkits as well, really happy to hear about that. So thanks everyone, and I am looking forward to hearing from everyone else today.
Thanks, Ros. That's wonderful.